Chosen one, if you're reading this right now, know that it's no accident. God has led you to this moment because something profound is unfolding in your life. You've unknowingly passed the ultimate test, a test that, up until now, you may not have fully realized you were undergoing. But the truth is, this divine trial was preparing you for a breakthrough that's now on the horizon. The very blessings you've been praying for, hoping for, and striving toward are no longer distant dreams. They are moving swiftly into your reality. This isn't just a change in perspective. This is a spiritual and energetic transformation. As someone who has been chosen, you are about to witness doors open at an unprecedented rate, and things will begin to fall into place in ways that will leave you in awe. But it's important to understand how this process works so you can align your spirit with this powerful shift, allowing you to step fully into the manifestation of the desires you've long held. Before we dive deeper into this life-altering revelation, take a moment to pause and reflect. If you feel this message is meant for you, consider taking a moment to like this video, subscribe to our channel to help us reach 30,000 subscribers, and leave a comment with the number 11. This simple act will amplify the energy of this message and send a powerful signal to the universe. If you are truly ready to receive this truth, you'll stay with us until the end, because your spirit already knows that this is the moment your life has been waiting for. But remember, only those truly prepared to accept their destiny will see the full power of what's about to unfold. For those who do, nothing will ever be the same again. Now let's begin. You might think you're just stumbling through life, dealing with challenges, setbacks, and confusion. But let me be crystal clear, you are not here by accident. Everything you've walked through, every tear you've cried, and every battle you've fought has led you to this exact moment. There is a divine thread woven through your journey, and it's not random, it's intentional. God has orchestrated your steps, even the ones that didn't make sense at the time. This season isn't just another chapter, it's a holy appointment on the calendar of heaven. There are moments in life when God pauses everything else just to focus on you. This is one of those moments. He is trying to get your attention, not to punish you, but to prepare you. The discomfort you feel isn't because you're abandoned. It's because you're chosen. The wilderness you've been walking through isn't a detour. It's divine direction. God doesn't waste pain, and He doesn't play games with purpose. This is your burning bush moment, your divine encounter that demands your full attention. Think of Esther. She was plucked from obscurity and placed in the palace, not just to wear a crown, but to fulfill a kingdom assignment. Mirai told her, "Who knows but that you have come to your royal position for such a time as this?" Esther 4:14. And just like Esther, you've been positioned right where you are for a reason that goes beyond comfort. It's about calling. There's a purpose in this pause. Heaven has something to say, and your heart needs to be still enough to hear it. So don't brush this moment off as another spiritual checkpoint. This is holy ground. Heaven is watching, angels are standing by, and God is whispering, "Will you trust me through this? Will you believe that I brought you here not to break you, but to build you?" This is a sacred season. You've been summoned. You're being called into something greater. Pay attention. Lean in. You're not here by accident. Every story worth telling has a defining moment, a final test where everything you've been through comes to a head. For you, this is that moment. It's not just another hardship. It's a divine examination of your heart, your trust, and your willingness to surrender fully. Your destiny is waiting on the other side of your obedience. What you do right now, how you respond in this season, has eternal weight. This test isn't optional. It's essential. Many people never walk into their promise because they don't pass the test. They get stuck repeating cycles, wandering in spiritual circles, frustrated and confused. But the truth is, every delay isn't demonic. Some are divine. God will never allow you to access the next level until your character is ready to carry the calling. And let's be real. There are some doors you've been praying to open that God has kept closed for your protection. He loves you too much to let you self-destruct in the spotlight. Jesus himself faced this kind of test. Before he stepped into ministry, he was led into the wilderness by the Spirit to be tested. For 40 days he was tried, tempted, and pressed. But he didn't skip the process. Why? because even the Son of God had to show that his identity and obedience were unshakable. If Jesus couldn't bypass the test, neither can we. This moment is not a punishment. It's a proving ground. So don't shrink back. Don't let fear or weariness make you quit too soon. Destiny isn't reserved for the perfect. It's reserved for the persistent. If you want to walk in the fullness of what God has for you, you must pass this test. And not just barely. Pass it with faith, with fire, and with your eyes fixed on the one who called you. This isn't just your test. It's your turning point. Let's be honest. Some of us are frustrated right now. We're praying, fasting, declaring, and believing, yet nothing is shifting. Doors remain closed, opportunities pass us by, and it feels like we're stuck in place. But what if the reason nothing is moving is because God is waiting on you to move first? Not physically, but spiritually. God isn't being silent to punish you. He's being quiet because he's already given you the last instruction and is waiting for your obedience. Obedience always precedes breakthrough. It's a principle we see over and over in Scripture. When Joshua led the Israelites around the walls of Jericho, the miracle didn't come until they obeyed every strange, specific instruction from God. Likewise, there are things you're praying for that are on the other side of full surrender. Until you pass this spiritual test, progress will feel like quicksand, no matter how much you strive. We often say we're waiting on God, but truthfully, God is waiting on us. Waiting for us to trust him when it doesn't make sense. Waiting for us to let go of our plans and surrender to his. Waiting for us to stop clinging to control and walk by faith. It's in that space, or in between knowing and doing, between believing and obeying, that spiritual maturity is born. And the enemy would love for you to stay stuck in the waiting room of delayed destiny. So ask yourself, what is God asking me to surrender? What is the lesson I keep resisting? What mindset, relationship, or habit do I need to release? Because once you pass this test, once you truly say, not my will, but yours be done, that's when things will begin to move. Heaven responds to obedience, and your obedience is the key to divine momentum. It's easy to feel like God is punishing you when you're walking through fire. The pain feels unbearable. The silence is deafening, and the weight on your chest makes it hard to breathe. But I want you to hear this with everything in me. This test is not punishment. It's preparation. You're not being crushed. You're being refined. Just like gold in the fire, God is burning off everything in you that cannot go where he's taking you next. Refinement is not glamorous. It's gritty. It's long nights of weeping, prayers that seem to go unanswered, and choosing to worship through the heartbreak. But here's the truth. If God allowed you to walk into your next season without this process, the weight of the blessing would crush you. He's not just preparing the promise for you, he's preparing you for the promise. Look at the life of Joseph. He was betrayed by his brothers, falsely accused, and thrown into prison. For years, it looked like he was forgotten. But all the while, God was refining him, teaching him humility, patience, leadership, and trust. And when the time came, Joseph didn't just survive, he ruled. He didn't get bitter, he forgave. That kind of heart isn't formed in the palace, it's forged in the pit. So the next time you're tempted to cry out, "Why me, God?" try whispering instead, "Refine me, God." Because he's not trying to destroy you, he's trying to develop you. The fire won't consume you, it will cleanse you. What feels like the end is really just the beginning of something beautiful. You're not being punished. You're being perfected. Faith isn't born in comfort. It's forged in fire. Right now, you may be walking through a season where it feels like everything is falling apart. Your plans, your peace, maybe even your hope. But what if I told you that this furnace you're in is the exact place your faith is being shaped? God isn't watching you suffer for no reason. He's strengthening you, refining you, and preparing you to carry a faith that can withstand storms. Every great man or woman of God had to be tested. Not one was exempt. David faced giants and betrayal. Elijah battled depression and doubt. Paul endured prison and persecution. Why? Because surface-level faith can't carry a deep calling. If your purpose is great, your testing will be intense. The greater the call, the greater the fire. But take heart. The fire doesn't destroy what's real, it reveals it. The furnace strips away what was never meant to stay. It exposes the cracks in your trust, your motives, your identity. But it also builds something beautiful, a faith that isn't tied to outcomes, but rooted in the character of God. When you come out of this, you won't just believe in God, you'll know Him. And that kind of faith shakes the kingdom of darkness. So even when you don't understand it, keep walking, keep trusting. Don't curse the fire. Thank God for it. Because when the smoke clears, you'll find that what tried to break you only made you bolder, stronger, and more unshakable than ever before. Your faith is being forged for the fight, and when it's over, you won't come out empty. You'll come out equipped. If you're holding on tightly right now, gripping your plans, expectations, or timing, this is your invitation to let go. Surrender isn't weakness. It's not giving up. It's handing over. It's saying, God, I trust you more than I trust myself. And in this season, full surrender is your only way forward. Not partial obedience, not selective faith, but total release. We often say we trust God, but then we make backup plans just in case. We pray for His will, but secretly hope He'll co-sign ours. But real surrender looks like Isaac on the altar. It looks like Mary saying, let it be unto me according to your word. It looks like Jesus in Gethsemane, sweating blood, whispering, not my will, but yours be done. That kind of surrender shakes heaven and opens doors no man can shut. You can't walk into a new season carrying old baggage. God is asking for everything, not because He wants to take it away, but because He wants to give you something better. You'll never experience the fullness of your breakthrough until you lay everything on the altar. This is the exchange. Your control for His power, your fear for His peace, your plan for His promise. So today, stop wrestling. Stop negotiating. Lift your hands, not in defeat, but in faith. Tell God you can have it all. My fears, my future, my failures. Because when you surrender everything, that's when God can do anything. Joseph's life was a prophetic blueprint of the process many of us are walking through right now. From the dream to the pit, from the prison to the palace. His story screams one thing loud and clear. Purpose comes with a process. God gave Joseph a glimpse of greatness, but before he could wear the robe of royalty, he had to wear the chains of refinement. Betrayed by his brothers, sold into slavery, falsely accused and forgotten in prison, Joseph endured heartbreak after heartbreak. But what looked like detours were actually divine steps. Every delay, every injustice, every tear was preparing him for what was coming. And in the end, Joseph didn't just survive, he saved a nation. What if your pain is attached to a purpose far bigger than you? The palace didn't make Joseph. The prison did. It was in that dark, hidden place where his character was built. That's where his pride died, his faith grew, and his integrity was tested. If you feel like you're in a pit right now, abandoned, overlooked, misunderstood, you're in good company. God is building something in you that the palace will demand. So don't despise the pit. Don't curse the process. Like Joseph, your story isn't over. The dream God gave you wasn't a lie, it was a preview. And the same God who was with you in the pit will be the one who promotes you to the palace. Stay faithful. Stay planted. The story is still unfolding. You've been praying for open doors, for breakthrough, for promotion. And guess what? The palace is ready. The opportunity is real. The promise is in place. But here's the question you have to answer in this season. Are you ready for it? Because God's blessings aren't delayed. They're protected. And He won't release what you're not prepared to carry. It would be cruel for God to give you the crown without the capacity, the platform without the process, the spotlight without the substance. The palace requires more than talent. It requires maturity, humility, discernment, and discipline. That's why He's taking His time with you. Not because you're unworthy, but because you're worth the wait. God doesn't just want you to arrive. He wants you to thrive. He wants you to step into your promise fully equipped, emotionally stable, spiritually mature, and deeply rooted in Him. The palace isn't just a place, it's a posture. It's about stewarding influence with integrity. It's about representing heaven in high places. So stop asking, when God, and start asking, who do I need to become to be ready? Because the palace is prepared. Your seat is reserved. Now it's your turn to get ready, to take your place. The wilderness is uncomfortable, dry, and often confusing. It feels like a place of punishment, but in reality, it's a place of preparation. The wilderness is where God strips away the noise, the distractions, the idols, and everything that competes with his voice. You're not being punished. You're being pulled closer. Remember, Jesus was led into the wilderness by the Spirit, not to be abandoned, but to be tested, proven, and strengthened. And just like him, we must learn to thrive in the dry places. Why? Because it's in the wilderness that your dependence on God is deepened. You stop living off secondhand revelation and start clinging to his word for survival. The Israelites wandered for 40 years, not because God was absent, but because they wouldn't pass the test. They complained, doubted, and refused to trust him fully. That's the danger of the wilderness. It can either refine you or consume you. The choice is yours. You can leave this season bitter or better, hard-hearted or healed. Don't mistake delay for denial. The wilderness isn't your final destination. It's just a hallway. You're on your way to promise, to purpose, to breakthrough. Walk through it with praise on your lips and faith in your heart. Because if God brought you to it, he'll bring you through it. Some of us have been stuck in the same cycles for years. Relational patterns, emotional habits, spiritual plateaus. And the hard truth is, God won't let you skip the test. If you don't pass it now, you'll see it again. Not because he's cruel, but because he's committed to your growth. The Israelites kept walking in circles because they wouldn't change. They saw miracles and still doubted. They received manna and still complained. What about you? Are you repeating old mindsets in new seasons? Are you letting fear make decisions that should be rooted in faith? Until your response changes, your season won't. The good news, you don't have to stay stuck. You don't have to repeat the pattern. This is your chance to break the cycle, to confront what keeps tripping you up, to heal what keeps haunting you. Growth. It is painful, but regret is worse. Pass the test now and you'll never have to walk this mountain again. God is offering you a way out, a way forward. Don't miss it. Don't delay destiny one more year. This is your moment to rise above, to step over, to break through. Take the test, trust the process, and walk into freedom. The wilderness journey should have taken the Israelites 11 days, but it took them 40 years. Why? Not because God wasn't faithful, but because they were disobedient. Their delay wasn't logistical, it was spiritual. And that story is a cautionary tale for every chosen one today. God called them his people. He showed up in cloud and fire. He parted seas and provided food. But still, they doubted. Still, they murmured. Still, they refused to fully believe. Don't let their story be your story. Don't let stubbornness sabotage your season. You can be called and still be stuck if you don't let God finish the work in your heart. Some of you are on the edge of promise, but circling the same patterns. The land is in sight, but fear keeps you paralyzed. Let this be your wake-up call. Move forward, obey fully, trust deeply. Go where he sends you, even when it's uncomfortable. Don't spend your life wondering when God's trying to take you into wonder. Let their delay become your motivation. You don't have to repeat their mistakes. You can cross over. You can enter in. The promise is waiting. Don't delay destiny. Absolutely. Here's the continuation and conclusion of the full script, completing the remaining headings 12 to 15 with the same passionate, humanized, and emotionally rich tone. If even the Son of God wasn't exempt from testing, then why would we expect a shortcut? Jesus, full of the Spirit, was led into the wilderness, not by accident, but by divine design. His testing wasn't a detour. It was part of his divine preparation. Before the miracles, the teaching, the cross, and the resurrection, there was the wilderness. The test came before the ministry. The same is true for you. Sometimes we get discouraged when we face spiritual resistance. But hear this. Testing is a sign that you carry weight in the Spirit. The enemy doesn't target those who pose no threat. If you're under pressure, it's because heaven has placed something powerful inside you. The greater the assignment, the fiercer the attack. But you're not alone in it. God is with you in the fire. Jesus faced real hunger, real temptation, and real loneliness in the wilderness. But he stood on the word. He didn't fight the enemy with emotions. He fought him with truth. If Jesus needed the word to overcome, so do we. It's not about quoting verses to sound spiritual. It's about believing them so deeply that when the enemy comes whispering lies, your identity remains unshaken. So when the test comes, and it will, don't shrink back. Don't ask, why me? Ask, what are you forming in me through this? Testing is not rejection, it's refinement. And the God who walked Jesus through the wilderness will walk you through it too. Your test is not a punishment. It's proof that you are a threat to hell. You've prayed for purpose. You've asked God to use you. But here's the truth many don't want to hear. This test is the bridge between who you are now and who you are called to be. You can't just leap into destiny. You must be led into it. And that journey always passes through a place of testing. God uses the test to strip away the things that can't go with you into your calling. Pride, fear, insecurity, offense, people-pleasing. These are the weights he's trying to break off before you step into the next season. Not because he's angry, but because he's loving. Because he knows what your calling will cost, and he's preparing you to carry it with grace. Look at Moses. He had a calling to lead an entire nation. But before the Red Sea parted, before the plagues and the miracles, there was the desert, a silent season, a testing season. But it was in that place that God met him in the fire, and that fire became the doorway to his destiny. So don't try to avoid the test. Don't run from the pain. Walk through it, knowing this isn't random. This is God's process. The test you're enduring is not your end. It's your entrance. The bridge may be narrow, but it leads to wide open purpose. Keep walking. Keep trusting. Destiny is on the other side. It can feel like God is holding out on you when things don't go the way you planned, like he's silent, distant, or ignoring your prayers. But let me tell you, with all the conviction in my heart, God is not withholding, he's preparing. If something hasn't come yet, it's not because he doesn't want to give it. It's because he loves you too much to give it too soon. We ask God for blessings, but we don't always ask for the strength to carry them. We want promotion, but we don't want preparation. But here's the truth. A blessing given too early can become a burden. So God, in his mercy, sometimes says, not yet. Not to hurt you, but to make sure you're truly ready. Preparation often looks like waiting, stretching, and refining. It looks like silence that teaches you how to listen. It looks like pruning that teaches you how to grow. If God seems quiet, don't assume he's distant. Assume he's working. Because behind the scenes, he's aligning things you can't even see. He's setting you up for something bigger than what you asked for. So take heart in the silence. Rest in the waiting. God is not absent. He's intentional. And when the time is right, when you're ready and the situation is aligned, he will not delay. The promise hasn't been canceled. It's being cultivated. He's preparing the promise and preparing you for it. The process is painful, but it's also powerful. It's not just what you go through. It's who you become in the going. So many people abort the promise because they resist the process. But what if you learn to embrace it? What if, instead of trying to escape, you leaned in and said, God, do whatever you need to do in me? Transformation is never comfortable. It breaks things. It exposes things. It stretches you in places you didn't know needed stretching. But in the breaking, God is making something beautiful. The process is where you gain wisdom, strength, humility, and faith. It's where character is formed and identity is rooted. Think of the butterfly. The cocoon looks like confinement, but it's actually construction. Without the pressure, the wings wouldn't form. If someone tries to rescue the butterfly too early, it dies. The struggle is what gives it strength, and it's the same with you. Your process is producing power. So instead of asking, when will this end? Ask God, what are you building in me? Because when you embrace the process, you'll find that the promise was never really about a destination. It was about becoming. The promise is coming. the door will open. But until then, stay in the fire. Trust the process, because your promise is already on the other side. In every great battle, there's a moment when the warriors feel completely overwhelmed. The odds are stacked high, and the enemy seems invincible. But here's the truth you need to understand. The battle belongs to the Lord, but you still have to show up. The victory is already assured in God's plan, but He requires your participation. Just as David faced Goliath with nothing but a sling and a stone, you're going to face your giants with what you have right now. You don't need all the answers or all the resources. You just need faith and obedience. God doesn't need you to be strong in your own might. He needs you to trust Him to be strong in yours. There are moments in your life when fear will try to paralyze you, telling you that you're not enough, that the battle is too great, or that your strength will fail. But hear this: God is not intimidated by your weakness. In fact, He is glorified in it. He delights in showing His power through those who are humble enough to rely fully on Him. So rise up. Walk into the battlefield with your faith lifted high. The victory may seem distant, but with each step you take toward it, you're claiming territory the enemy thought was his. The battle is His, but the moment you show up, you become part of the story of victory. We all have scars. Some are visible, some are hidden deep within our hearts. These marks often tell the stories of pain, betrayal, rejection, or failure. But in the hands of the Master, brokenness doesn't stay broken. God takes our shattered pieces and makes something incredibly beautiful. Look at the life of Peter. He denied Jesus, the very one He swore to never leave. But after his fall, Jesus didn't reject him. Instead, He restored him with love, grace, and purpose. Your mistakes do not define you. God's redemptive love does. No matter how far you've fallen, His arms are open wide to pull you back into His embrace. God doesn't just mend your brokenness, He transforms it. What was once a wound, it becomes a wellspring of wisdom. What was once a failure becomes a testimony of His grace. You may not see it now, but the very places where you've been broken will become the places where His glory shines brightest. So let go of the shame. Don't hide your scars. God is in the business of turning broken things into beautiful masterpieces. Your story is far from over, and the best chapters are often written in the aftermath of pain. Trust His redemptive power. It will make something out of your mess. So often we find ourselves stuck in patterns that feel unbreakable. We can't move forward. We can't step into the new, and we can't seem to shake off the weight of old thinking. But hear me, a shift in your mind can lead to a shift in your life. The battle isn't just external, it's internal. If you can change your perspective, you can change everything. In Romans 12:2, we are called to be transformed by the renewing of our minds. The way you think about yourself, your future, and your God shapes your reality. If you see yourself as unworthy or incapable, you will live like you're unworthy and incapable. But if you align your thinking with the truth of God's Word, you'll step into a reality you never thought possible. This shift is not a one-time event. It's a process. It's daily surrendering your thoughts to God, daily choosing faith over fear, and daily replacing lies with truth. The more you renew your mind, the more you will begin to see things through the lens of God's promises, and that perspective will propel you into your destiny. So don't settle for old mindsets. Don't let the enemy whisper lies into your heart. Change your mind, and your life will follow. God has more for you than you can imagine, but it all starts with a shift in how you think. Jesus said that faith as small as a mustard seed could move mountains. But what does that mean? It means that faith isn't about the size of your belief. It's about where you place it. It's not about believing in your own strength, but about believing in God's. When you have faith in a God who can move mountains, you tap into the supernatural. Think of the story of the Israelites marching around Jericho. The city's walls were towering and thick, seemingly impenetrable. Yet God commanded them to march, shout, and believe that the walls would fall. Their faith activated the power of God. The impossible became possible, not because of their strength, but because of their obedience. There are mountains in your life that need to be moved, mountains of doubt, fear, addiction, or struggle. But those mountains will only move when you place your faith in God's ability to overcome them. Faith isn't passive, it's active. It's standing firm even when the world tells you to sit down. It's speaking to the mountain and saying, move in the name of Jesus. So today, speak to your mountains, speak to the giants, and trust that the God who parted seas, healed the sick, and raised the dead is the same God who will move in your life. Faith in God is never futile, it's always victorious. Waiting is hard, it's uncomfortable, uncertain, and often filled with doubt. But God's timing is never off. He's never late. In fact, waiting is a powerful act of faith, a declaration that you trust God more than your circumstances, more than your desires, and more than your timing. Look at Abraham and Sarah. They were promised a child, but year after year, nothing happened. They waited and waited, and yet they remained in God's waiting room. The waiting season doesn't mean that God has forgotten you. It means He's preparing you. What He's doing in you during the wait is just as important as what He's going to do through you afterward. In the waiting, God is strengthening your trust. He's building your perseverance, refining your character, and teaching you to depend on Him completely. The strength that you gain in waiting will sustain you in the breakthrough. So don't grow weary in the wait. Let it be a time of preparation, not frustration. Remember, God's delays are not denials. His timing is perfect. And when the time is right, the doors will open. Your waiting season is not wasted. It's part of His plan. So wait with expectation. Your moment is coming. Pain is a universal experience. We all go through seasons of suffering, whether physical, emotional, or spiritual. But what if you knew that your pain is not in vain? What if it's actually shaping you for something far greater than you can see right now? James 1:2-4 tells us to count it all joy when we face trials, knowing that the testing of our faith produces perseverance. Pain is not punishment, it's preparation. The struggle you're facing is the forge in which your character is being refined. The tears you shed today will water the seeds of purpose that will sprout tomorrow. Just as a diamond is formed under immense pressure, your purpose is often shaped under intense circumstances. The hardship you're enduring is teaching you resilience, patience, and a deeper reliance on God. The strength you gain from overcoming these struggles will become the foundation for your future success. So don't waste your pain. Don't resent the season you're in. Instead, embrace it, knowing that God is using it to mold you into the person you were created to be. The greatest testimonies often come from the deepest trials. You may feel like you're on the edge of a breakthrough, but it just seems out of reach. You've prayed, you've believed, you've waited, but the door hasn't opened yet. But let me remind you, breakthrough is often closer than it feels. The moment you feel like giving up is often the moment right before your miracle. Think about the story of the woman with the issue of blood. She had been suffering for 12 long years. Yet when she reached out in faith and touched the hem of Jesus' garment, she received instant healing. She didn't know that she was one touch away from her breakthrough, but she kept pressing forward anyway. You might be standing at the threshold of your breakthrough right now. You may not see it yet, but God is working behind the scenes. Every prayer you've prayed, every step of faith you've taken has brought you closer to the moment when God will move on your behalf. Don't stop knocking on the door. Don't stop seeking the answer. Your breakthrough is on the horizon. Hold on. The waiting is part of the process. Keep pressing, keep believing, and watch as God opens the doors you've been praying for. The best is yet to come. The unknown can be terrifying. Stepping into the unknown means surrendering control, letting go of certainty, and facing the future with nothing but faith. But the unknown is where God does His best work. It's in the places of uncertainty that He shows up most powerfully. Think about Abraham, who left his homeland without knowing where he was going. God didn't give him a map, He gave him a promise, and that promise became his guiding light. When we don't know where we're going, we have no choice but to trust the one who does. The unknown forces us to rely fully on God. It teaches us to walk by faith, not by sight. It's in the moments of uncertainty that we experience God's presence in ways we never could have imagined. When everything around us is unknown, we discover that God is more than enough. So if you're in a season of uncertainty, don't fear it. Embrace it. God's plans are bigger than your understanding. The unknown is simply an invitation to trust Him more deeply. Fear is a powerful force. It can paralyze you, keep you from stepping into your purpose, and rob you of peace. But God has not given you a spirit of fear. He has given you power, love, and a sound mind. 2 Timothy 1:7. Freedom from fear is not just possible, it's God's will for your life. Fear often manifests in our thoughts. What if I fail? What if I'm not good enough? What if it doesn't work out? These what ifs are the chains that hold us in place. But freedom comes when we choose to replace fear with faith, when we trust that God's plan for us is far greater than anything we could fear. Remember the story of Peter stepping out of the boat. The waves were fierce, and fear tried to take hold. But the moment Peter fixed his eyes on Jesus, he found himself walking on the water. Fear doesn't have to rule your life. When you fix your eyes on God, you will find the courage to step into your calling, no matter how high the waves. So today, choose freedom. Choose faith over fear. Because when you step into the freedom God has for you, nothing can hold you back. You are more than a conqueror through Christ. Step out of fear and into the fullness of the life God has promised you. No one walks alone in their journey. God places divine connections in our lives, people who will encourage us, challenge us, and help us fulfill our purpose. These connections are not accidental. They are God-ordained relationships designed to propel us forward. Think about Ruth and Naomi. Naomi's wisdom, Ruth's loyalty. Their relationship was pivotal in fulfilling God's purpose for both of their lives. Sometimes God sends people into your life to help you see things clearly, to guide you in directions you may not have considered, or to stand by you when the road is tough.